Hi, we thought that we would come on this morning and make a quick video to give you some hints and tips as to some of the things that you can do if you have gone into this current lockdown living with the person that you are separating from or divorcing. So I'm really pleased to be delighted by fabulous Susan Leigh this morning. How are you doing, Susan?
I'm good. We've had the news and it's a little bit of a wake-up call again. No end in sight, wondering what we're doing. So it is an especially difficult time for people who are saying, our relationship's at an end, we need to split, but oh, hang on a minute, we're stuck together. So it's great to have the opportunity to talk with you today, Tamsin.
Yeah, and how on earth do you think about getting through that time?
Well, I think there's a few things. I think one is that we need to remind ourselves that we have a lot of skills for dealing with difficulty. Many of us have got several exes in our past. We've had letdowns over the years. We've changed our divorce, our jobs. We've perhaps been made redundant. We've got all sorts of situations going on intermittently throughout the years. So we have skills for being resilient. We have skills for starting anew. We have skills for surviving. And I think sometimes we maybe just have to renegotiate our ground rules for living at home. And if there's children involved, especially so. We've got to review and maybe discuss and remember to sort of sit down, possibly outside in the garden or wherever you can, somewhere away from the home, and sit down and say, okay, we're here. We can't do anything about it. We're in this together. We used to love each other at one time. How can we talk and be respectful and polite? And I think the basic thing is about having good manners, respect and consideration for each other. And that's a biggie, I think, to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. What about if you just have got to a point where everything that the other person says is like a fork on a plate or chalk on a chalkboard, and you just can't bear to be in the same room as them, but you've got to get through this?
I think again it's about giving each other space. I think if we're living, particularly if we're living in a fairly small area, I think we have to talk again to each other and say, okay, we don't have to be under each other's feet. If we are cooking and we don't want to cook together, or if we're sleeping and we don't want to sleep together, then let's agree to have certain times where one person can go off and read or go for a walk or go and have a bath and be half an hour, and negotiate again about having space and time where we allow for them to be in a flat place or a low place. We don't rise to every irritation that they give, because it can be that we end up in a situation, and often the run up to a divorce is like this anyway, where we're bickering and arguing over trivia. Somebody doesn't put the plate in the dishwasher, or somebody leaves a cup on the side, or somebody doesn't put the washing in the washing machine or empty the washing machine when they've used it. All those things can be absolutely mountainous hazards that cause terrific upheaval. And so agreeing to give a little bit of leeway to them and hoping we're getting it back in return, and maybe even interjecting some gentle humor. I think humor can be great, but humor can also be very difficult at times. So not being a bit wary. We were talking earlier about jokes, and at the minute, something that people might laugh uproariously at isn't funny at the minute. So it's about being sensitive, about using humor, but also knowing that sometimes a gentle nudge or a wink or a comment with somebody who you know so very, very well can sometimes ease the disharmony and allow a mood to just pass a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are, of course, like you mentioned, able to go out for exercise. So yeah, giving yourselves that space by getting out of the house to go for a walk just can really ease your mind a little bit, can't it? And calm the situation down if you just take yourself out of it for a while.
And we are allowed at the minute, we're allowed to to meet one other person from another household. So we could even agree to meet our friend or whoever it might be, a family member perhaps, and just go for a walk together, or go on our own, or borrow. I know somebody who borrows a neighbour's dog, and really, absolutely, these dogs are getting exercised to death at the minute. But you know, borrowing somebody's dog or doing something like that can make a huge difference and help bring some fresh air and a new perspective. I mean, I'm putting on a tip of the day later on that starts about one of my clients came to me and said, with 100% conviction, nothing good ever happens to me. And she completely believed it. And I think when we're in that state of mind, we feel that way. We just think, why me? And it's not fair. And I'm sick to death of it. And we notice every thing that might be perceived as a slight or an omission or a rude comment, possibly not meant that way, but we're picking up on those things. And the truth is, we can sometimes find our perspective get so skewed because we're in a bad place, because we're feeling down and jaded and battered, and sometimes just reining it in and just going, hang on a minute, somebody opened the door for me, somebody let me out in traffic, somebody at work said, oh, I've just brought you a coffee, I was passing the machine, I got you one. Or I love what you're wearing today. Or you see a robin on the fence. And there can be lots of little vignettes in the day that just cause a smile. And we can forget those when we're so fixated on our own misery, our own situation. And it's sometimes about just stepping back, breathing, and allowing ourselves to be reminded that actually, hang on a minute, good things do happen to me, and I am skillful and I can get through this.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. I've read somewhere, and I'd love to say where it was, but I can't remember, about writing down in a diary or a journal 3 amazing things that happen to you each day. And just that process of sitting down in bed of a night and just writing 3 things and thinking, okay, what amazing things have happened to me today. And like you say, it could be very simple things, but I think just that process of thinking about the good things that happened in your day is really valuable, isn't it?
That's something I advise my clients to do. 3 good things that happen to you, or 3 successes even.
Yeah.
And for some people that might be getting out of bed.
Yeah.
For some people that might be washing their face, putting a matching set of clothes on, as opposed to just grabbing whatever's there and what they wore yesterday and just picking it up and putting it on again. But sometimes doing that, putting on a bit of lipstick or having a shave or whatever it might be, sometimes those things can really be massive successes for you, because it's been a struggle to get this far. And so sometimes, particularly if we're going through a divorce, as well as lockdown, as well as perhaps financial worries, as well as perhaps having kids at home and wondering what you're doing with them, or not seeing your infirm relatives and being cautious about seeing them at all these things can just be pile on pile on pile. And so starting to see the amazing sunset or whatever it might be, or the crocuses that are starting to try and push their way through the soil at the minute, or whatever it might be, or that phone call from a friend, or making that phone call to a friend, settling down with a brew and thinking, I'm going to phone them and have a chat, and we're not just going to talk about bad things. We're going to have a rule that we can have 3 minutes each moaning, and then after that we're going to talk about good stuff. Because it can be a discipline to actually start finding the good things that happen to you each day, and starting to think about those things, rather than allow yourself to just completely get submerged by all the negativity, which is a habit. We can become habituated to notice the negativity.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Susan, thank you so much for those fantastic tips as always, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you.